Right now, as I'm speaking to you, there's a website running. It's online for over 27 years, since before most of us had email addresses. That website is heavengate.com. The homepage flashes red alert. It has pages about shredding your human container, about graduating to the next level, and at the bottom in small text it reads, "This site is maintained by surviving members of Heaven's Gate." Surviving members because in 1997, 39 people believed so deeply in what that website taught that they swallowed poison, put bags over their head, and waited to be picked up by a UFO. The website's still there, the people are not. But the story begins 25 years earlier in a hospital room with a man lost, broken, at rock bottom, and a nurse who didn't mend his fractured psyche, but rather fed the confusion with the idea that he wasn't lost or broken, but chosen.
Welcome, stranger.
Secret to society.
Strangers. Society.
Welcome to the secret society.
Strangers?
I'm Lee, that's Jen, that's Josh, and this is the Secret Society of Strangers podcast.
What it do?
Hello.
Yeah. Yep, and on this very long series, we're going to be covering Heaven's Gate. And right now, right up top, big content warning. This episode discusses cult manipulation and suicide. And if you are struggling and you need someone to talk to, call 988. All right, now that that's out of the way, not a lot of gore, just depressing stuff.
Yes.
All right. And before we even get into this, I want to talk a little bit about like what to expect over 4 episodes, since we really haven't done such a large series. So I'm breaking this cult down basically from top to bottom. In the first episode, we're going to mainly talk about Bonnie Nettles and Marshall Applewhite, how they met, and that kind of jazz, and like their building of their belief system. Then we're going to follow the cult members and like the actual people that like followed Bonnie and Applewhite for a couple decades. Then we'll get into all like, the nitty gritty, what it was like to be in the cult. And then ultimately we'll talk about that ultimate day in San Diego when all the members decided to take their lives.
God damn.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay.
All right. So, and why Heaven's Gate is because Heaven's Gate seems to hold this special place in American tragedies with like endless jokes at the group's expense. I mean, it's become a household name. Everyone like is quick to drop Heaven's Gate about anyone acting crazy or acting weird without a second thought about like what that really means.
Right.
Well, I mean, I think it's also like people remember it because weren't they like the first cult to do mass suicide, pretty much?
No,
In
No?
America?
no, on American soil, not necessarily either, but more that
Oh, I thought that's what they
was
said.
it was more again like this is when they finally did commit their final act. It was the late 90s, so internet is now on. We're being introduced. OJ Simpson happened, so now we're starting to get the beginning of that 24-hour news cycle where it's
Right.
just constant. Every reporter's got to have a story on it. So this was one of those first cases where like everyone nationwide and worldwide was looking at this cult, and it was not like so Jonestown happened in the beginning, like around the beginning of Heaven's Gate in the first few years that they got together. Jonestown happened, and those like 300 people killed themselves, and 900, I don't remember.
Yeah. But that wasn't in America, though.
Nope, but they were an American cult, and that had happened, and it was very easy, like you're doing right now, for the press, for media, for everyone to just be like, it's almost like it's not domestic. Like this is a foreign problem. This is not a homegrown
This would
thing.
never happen here.
Even
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Jim Jones was an American that took his people there because he was being prosecuted, blah, 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 chased by the FBI, whatever you want to call it. Which actually brings up a really good point on why I picked Heaven's Gate, because there was no violence. There was no like outward, physical control. There was no ego-driven psychopaths, like charismatic leaders that were looking for like sex or violence and they never really held anybody. Like Jim
So,
Jones,
like, no Charlie Manson, nothing like
no,
that.
Jim
You're
Jones,
right.
Waco, all those places, their isolation tactic was permanent. You came in and you were not allowed to leave. And they would go to great lengths to like get
Make
you
sure.
back
Yeah.
if you left and find you and track you down,
Mhm.
stalk you. I mean, Scientology does it now. Applewhite was not like that. Applewhite and Bonnie Nettles was like, hey, if this is not for you, you must not
You
be
can leave at
ready.
any time.
Mhm.
Right.
Go home. Like, and it's interesting. I'll talk about it a little bit later on. Like they flipped that and used that to their advantage amongst the people who stayed, which was kind of interesting.
Oh,
Uh,
alright.
All right. So again, we all know how this story ends. 39 people, blah, 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 blah. And we just even talked about it a little bit. Most of those other stories about cults start with dangerous, manipulative people with evil intentions. And again, this is not that narrative.
Mhm.
Applewhite nor Bonnie never were malicious, and they never were doing this out of some kind of like clout chasing messiah, technically complex type thing.
And I think people too, like, would have, or we have a major fascination to things like this because we can't imagine how people get involved,
Oh, yeah.
especially as like the 24 news cycle, as the information starts piling in and reporters and are going through this website that, we're going to talk about. We all have that thing of, well, that could never happen to me or anybody I
Yeah.
know.
Never join a cult.
I'm too smart for that. I'm too this, that, fill in the blank for that to ever happen to me. So this is going to be really interesting because you find out that
Lee is in a cult.
Right. And what
I wasn't going to outwardly just out him like that or
not
say that
yet.
he's susceptible. Thank you, Lee, for proving my point.
I am like that, and that's what's interesting. Even doing this research, like I have a little aside later on where I talk about this a little bit more too. But like you kind of get your eyes opened a little bit when you start like cults exist, they're all around, they're kind of you know like I said, talked about and like shrugged off. But when you sit down and you focus in on one and you start to like look at like things around you, and then you start to pay attention to like just your everyday behavior and the people around you, and like you
Mhm.
start to notice these mini cults. So like there's like, and this is a little bit maybe too on the nose, it's just very accessible and everyone will understand this one, but like there's the cult of Starbucks where like,
Oh, yeah, where people are just diehard Starbucks,
and if you
diehard
introduce a different
Dunkin'.
coffee to them, yeah, it's like, oh my god, what about my Starbucks, the Vente Grande, but
Right.
and it's like, okay, but that's cool, but you want to try this one, and they're just no,
Mm-mm.
like
I
that's
mean,
that's cult mentality. That's
where are the
we're
Maxwell House people at? At
yeah,
home,
well,
brewing their coffee
I'm a Folgers
in their
and pot.
pot, no pods.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a
I'm
Bones
gripping the
coffee
towel.
guy.
But exactly, but it's you start to notice these like micro cults all over the
Mhm.
place, and it's just these little things, and you start noticing it. I started noticing it in like my behavior in like little dumb things where it's like, like I really won't even like acknowledge other brands of certain things, or like if someone says something to me, my go-to like recommendation is this, regardless of what anyone else says, like is working because like I'm so die hard behind this thing. But
Mm.
yeah,
Okay.
we'll find out. You're probably much more susceptible than you would think.
Strong will.
Mhm. All right. So we take this all the way back to 1931 on May 17th. That's when Marshall Applewhite was born. He was born in Spur, Texas, tiny little dusty railroad town. Heavy Christianity, fire and brimstone. His father was a Presbyterian minister,
Hmm.
and he was like
Okay.
no joke about it. He lived next to the church. So Marshall was literally in those pews every time there was a mass, every time there was a gathering. Marshall
Sounds
was.
so exhausting.
It does. It sounds very exhausting. To keep up appearances, I would imagine would be very exhausting too, especially as a child like that.
Well, don't we do that every day?
Yeah, but
Yeah, true.
at a certain point, you become an adult. That you kind of curate to what you're comfortable with. Yeah, to the most part, like we all have our style. Like I'm not worried about what my peers are saying about my clothes at this point.
Oh
You know
yeah,
what I'm saying? Like
facts.
I am who I am. Like, sorry. Like when you're young and like you're impressionable, but you're impressionable at the same time as everyone's looking at you to be that role model as like a 7-year-old boy who's got to be done up at church all the time, perfect, can't
Mhm.
sneeze, got to be the choir boy, got to be able to remember your prayers and like all your
Yeah.
hymns and all that. Like
We
it's a
call
lot
them
of pressure for a
PKs,
boy.
preacher's
Pe-
kids at school.
Preachers'
The
kids.
PKs.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was what Marshall was. Choir kid. He actually had a very, very good voice. So he was like known for being a really good singer and being in the choir and kind of just like leading the choir. And it was kind of his thing. But like I said, his father was super, super religious, super, fundamental, no deviating from the path. And Marshall followed in his dad's footsteps. Like he was like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. He went to school. He studied religion and he became a Presbyterian minister himself. More in the classroom, though. He never really had a church. He was more of a theology teacher.
Okay.
But even with that and not being behind the pulpit at a church, he was known to be extremely charismatic. Students and classmates and people would always say like he would make you feel like the only person in the room, regardless if he was talking to the whole room or just talking to you. He captivated you.
You just had Riz.
Yeah, there was something about Marshall.
Something
Okay.
about Marshall.
With all of this semi success, I would say, in his career and people liking him and everything, he was fighting inner battles. So his sexuality was a big problem for him throughout his entire adolescence. Like growing up, he would fight and repress his feelings of homosexuality. At the same time, he would have to sit in those pews and listen to his father recite his damnation over and over and tell him like how bad he's going to be and what's going to happen to him, because he's feeling this way. That on top of the fact that Marshall was a giant science fiction nerd made like his college years a little awkward. So like while other students were, studying their Bibles and all their stuff, like Marshall's like reading pulp fiction magazines and like he's into science fiction. He's into like aliens invading Earth and beings
Fuck yeah.
transforming and
I'd be his friend.
exactly. But these stories gave Marshall a little bit more than, say, me or you. They gave him a little bit of an outlet or like a glimpse into the possibility of being able to transform yourself from what you are into something different.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of clung on to that science fiction transformation aspect throughout his entire life, which becomes very important later on.
Well, at least he didn't go all fucking Red Dragon and start serial killing people and turning into a fucking metaphorical dragon
Thank
person.
God, no.
I mean,
That
that's
was
that
horrible.
is true.
I mean, but he has a body count, so let's not recuse him from everything. All right, so science fiction nerd, again, still in the religious world, still playing the game, still acting like a straight man, and around this time, he gets married. He marries a woman named Anne Frances Pierce in 1952. They get married, they have 2 children. And from all accounts, while Marshall is married to Anne, he is a doting father. He is attentive. He loves his children. He seems to care about his family, and he's doing the 2.5 kids American thing. He's working. His wife was known to be very devout and pretty much agreed with all his philosophies and religious factors. So things seemed okay. His path was not straightforward. Fortunately/unfortunately, Marshall was drafted. So he was drafted in 1954 and he served in the Army. He served in Austria and in New Mexico in the Signal Corps. So he did 2 years of like strict military discipline on top of his already disciplined and very rigid demeanor. He got like militarized.
Oh.
Because that's not a terrifying combo.
Right?
Yeah.
And again, we're talking about the 1970s. He's homosexual. He's
Can't say shit in the military. Yeah, fuck that. Nah.
So repression on top of structure, on top of so you're just building a pressure bomb. Like,
Pretty much.
yeah. After he got out, he went back to teaching, but more now he focused on musical teaching. So he still was in the churches and the Catholic schools, but he was teaching choir and he was leading choirs. He was doing local theater productions. And by all accounts, again, it seemed like Marshall was doing pretty well. Until so in 1965, Anne discovered that Applewhite was having an affair with a male student.
Oh no, for shame.
Yeah, I mean, the adultery part, no good.
Well, yeah, the homosexuality part
Right.
Yeah,
to him,
Right.
to them, him in those times, and
yeah. So she filed for divorce. By 1968, they were divorced. The divorce apparently was very amicable. It went smoothly, but Marshall does refer to this as one of the most devastating times of his life.
I'm
yeah, that
sure.
shit's hard.
Yes. On the heels of that, he was dismissed from the University of St. Thomas in Houston in 1970, allegedly due to another relationship with a male student.
Damn.
Those losses, coupled with the loss of his father in 1971, contributed to a mental collapse or deep depression. He lost his job, he lost his marriage, he basically lost his self. For as much as Marshall had conflicting feelings about his religion and his sexuality, there was a special place for his father. His father, in his mind, no matter how hard his father was or how weird their relationship, tarnished their relationship is, there's not a whole lot about it, but he seems to have a huge daddy issue.
Mm. Is he like just wanting his approval?
Yeah,
Okay.
very much so. Like, we're supposed to be making our father happy. We're supposed to be
Right.
pleasing our father. Like, if we're not pleasing our father, we're not doing our job. And then his father, being the Holy Father, won't be happy. Blah, blah,
And then
blah.
I won't get into heaven.
Exactly.
Mm.
So that's the
Okay.
echo chamber Marshall grew up in. He goes on to change that chamber a little bit, but still
Echoing
very,
it.
very focused on father archetypes. In 1972, he's actually checked into a hospital. Now,
Oh.
this is a little weird. It's become kind of cult lore. Like, this reason why he goes into the hospital is not fully disclosed. Some people say it was a heart condition, a stroke. Some people say it was straight up just like a psychological break and he needed to be checked into the psych ward.
Well,
Either
yeah, he had a lot of shit go on.
he did. And
Yeah.
he on top of like stuff actually happening in real time, he's never put together a coping system of his own.
No, I'm
All
sure
he's
not.
done is repress, and now these things are coming up on top of the repression, and yeah, you would obviously
Boom. Yeah.
have some kind of
You can
crap.
only compartmentalize so much.
Mm-hmm.
But according to Marshall's retellings, he claims that while he was in the hospital, at some point he left his physical body. Whether he had a heart
So
attack,
you-
died, whatever, like an NDE or an out of body experience. But he says he traveled to a higher realm where he encountered extraterrestrial beings. And these beings revealed to him that his true identity, that he wasn't human, and that he was divine representative to Earth.
because that won't give you an ego boost.
Nope. But
Yeah.
this moment is kind of that like detachment from reality for him, where he snapped and realized, like, not maybe he didn't realize, I don't want to say that, but like he started to just entertain the idea of creating his own reality, let's say.
Mm.
Psychosis entered the chat.
Yep, pretty much. As well as Bonnie Nettles. So Psychosis opens the door, Bonnie Nettles walks in right behind.
Okay.
Have you seen my dog?
What?
Its name is Psychosis. Oh,
I know,
by the
I'm
way,
like-
hey, what's up? I'm Bonnie.
I know it's like I'm picturing like Nurse Ratchet, like
Oh God, right?
Again, she's well. Let me talk about Bonnie first before I get.
yeah, because I never really knew much about her
There's
at all.
not a lot to know, but like there's a lot we can extrapolate from later cult activity. So
So she turned him not homosexual.
Good question. We'll get to that. Bonnie Lou Thornsdale was born on August 29th in 1927 in Houston, Texas. Again, fire and brimstone. She was raised in a Baptist home, but since she was little, she was like the girl that was into astrology, metaphysical lore. Like,
Oh, I bet that went over well.
yeah,
Like
she
a
was
Yeah.
fart in church.
Whew.
she was that girl. So raised in Texas, Baptist home. She's into all the things. Like if it's possibly new age, Bonnie's on it. Like Jesus
Okay.
is an alien type shit. Like she is about it from the beginning.
Oh, dude, she would love living today.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's what's. We will talk about that in some of the later episodes about
She's ahead
how
of her time.
I was okay because
different.
like some of this shit just sounds like some of the stuff that's like been out now.
Exactly. Again. We'll talk about the Western like collapse of religion and how like Eastern philosophy sneaked in the New Age and just rebranded itself. We'll do all that. Don't worry. She eventually gets married. She goes to nursing school. She graduates in 1948. She gets married to a man named Joseph Nettles. They go on to have 4 children together.
Damn.
Not as nice of a marriage, reportedly, as Herf once had. Herf is Marshall. I will refer to him as Herf quite often.
Why is he
His middle
Herf?
name is Herf, and he went by Herf more than he went by Marshall.
I suppose. Okay, cool.
Yeah, it's a cool name, Herf. Yeah, so this wasn't a great marriage. Joseph reportedly asked her over and over again to abandon her like spirituality, her metaphysics, new age.
Please stop being such a fucking weirdo.
I know.
Yeah. So Bonnie doubled down. Bonnie began to conduct seances and believed that she was communicating with extraterrestrials, forcing the marriage into a divorce.
Bonnie sounds cool as shit though.
Yeah, so I mean, that's Bonnie. Bonnie is who she is. Like, there's no one's telling Bonnie what to do. No one
Yo,
puts
my name's
Bonnie in a
Bonnie and I'm
corner.
a bad bitch. I'm here to talk to fucking extraterrestrials.
Word. Bonnie being Bonnie, she met Herf in that hospital in 1972, and for Bonnie, something clicked. Like she believed that this was her other half of some cosmic mission. She actually believed that he was possibly a reincarnated version of St. Francis or Jesus himself.
This is
Oh.
called shared psychosis.
We get there. Yes, you're right. Very good. Yeah, we're all
I
very good
came
at
from the mental health
illnesses.
space.
So Bonnie straight up told Marshall, like, this meeting was aligned in the stars. Like, this was planned in our future. We had no choice. She told him that beings of light had come to her to tell her that she would meet a man of great, serious spiritual purpose, and said that he was the one that was chosen and he had work to do.
It's like, yo, that man there, that's your new boo for life. He's as weird as you, girl.
Yeah.
Y'all can share grippy socks.
Oh.
No.
So Marshall's lonely, cracked psyche, like this wasn't terrifying as it is to us. He considered this like salvation, and like he had found his next phase in life.
I mean, yeah, we all like to find people that think like us.
Yeah, no
whether
shit, right?
if we're in a good headspace or
But I'm not
not.
gonna start a cult when I'm like, yo, you like weird shit? You like weird shit? Hey, we should talk about weird shit together. And here we are.
Really
And this is
interesting
the
is that
point.
you
This is how it starts, innocently.
now are him and her. Like that's the comment. Like so, from this point on, it's Bonnie and Herf, and this is what they do. They hang out. They talk Bible. They talk astrology charts. They read tarot cards. They read sci-fi packets. I mean, they're
Yo, everything sounds dope except for the
Yeah.
Bible parts.
literally just talking. So, but that I would do that. This is part of the thing that would get me.
Oh,
Just
wait.
because I don't believe in the Bible, that it's almost more of a reason for me to want to talk about it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I want to now get into it. Like, I read part of it. I really want to like talk about it, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I get this part. This is totally a 1970s. Like, what you're smoking bad weed, like we're listening
Hey,
to.
could
Like,
you imagine if they were like smoking today's weed in the 70s?
they would never have left the house.
They would never have started the
Wow.
cult.
They would melt it in the hospital. Yeah. So they're all into it. Like they're basically building a belief system that is like part alien, part biblical, part like new age mysticism.
Hmm.
But they were always together. So these two became like inseparable. No one knows, and I don't think they were, from all the stuff I can tell, I don't think they were ever romantically involved.
Don't think so?
Marshall really, the way Marshall refers to her is so loving, not in like a partner way though,
Like
but in like
reverent way?
yeah, like he considered. So we'll get to the structure a little bit later, but they have these things later on called like elder members, and
Mm,
like they're not meaning like members necessarily of the cult. They're meaning members of like humanity and the level above humanity. And
right,
he
right,
considered
right.
Bonnie his elder member from the level above him.
Level 22 laser lotus.
She was his key. Like he needed her to make sense of his world.
Mm.
And
You
as
my
they,
rock, girl, but we can't ever do anything.
they just, I just picture them like skipping hand in hand everywhere they go, like super happy. Like, we're gonna ascend. Like they're just always happy. But they did. They went everywhere together. They traveled everywhere together. Then they started like kind of. My picture is it's the 70s.
I don't
You're
know where this is
driving around
going.
in a
I'm
van,
scared.
pulling up to a beach. There's a fucking fire in the middle of the night, and you're sitting around, you're smoking with everybody, and then they start talking. Now,
Yeah.
out of that 10 people at that campfire, one or two of them leave with you, and they're like, "Yo, this is pretty cool. I got nothing to do. I just met those guys on the highway. Let me see what these guys are up to."
Mm.
Right.
They do this for a couple months. They kind of have a little bit of a following. It's not huge, but they got a crew, right?
Got a crew.
And now they are starting to put together like this original package, this original message that they can recite and repeat. And they're starting to like put together a tour, let's say, of like the cult beginnings. Like
I mean, they got the van,
Blue
so
the blueprints for the cult.
exactly what it would
yeah,
look like is it would look like a recruitment tour.
Right, right, right.
But
So we're gonna go to every beach and then just like pop up
right.
at every fire, and then
yep,
like it's a 2 out of 10 chance that we're gonna get somebody.
pretty much. And they would do it. So again, it's not, and this is what I think is hard to separate. And if you try to put yourselves in the time period and in their shoes, it removes a lot of the nefarious like intent.
Right.
So
That's true. Yeah.
it's the 70s, you're driving around, they have no money. They are relying on people's goodwill. They are doing odd jobs. So they're meeting a lot of people and probably just talking. And from there, it snowballs and they're like, oh, wait, maybe we can get a little bit of money. Let's go do a talk at a library and see if we can
Mm.
charge $1 for admission. Shit starts
At
to
the free
snowball.
library.
Exactly. But then, it starts to snowball. And then what happens, I think, in like UFO or cult lore is that like it goes to Bonnie's head. Like it
Oh.
affirms
Bonnie
everything
breaks.
that Bonnie thought was true about the world in the first place.
Oh damn.
At the time, Herf is very much still along for the ride. He likes what she says. He loves he's vibing. He's just vibing, and he's an amazing public speaker. So what ends up happening is that I can imagine they're out in the van, they're doing all this talk. Bonnie's just talking. Herf is just listening, agreeing in awe, and just taking in all these ideas. But his talent is then going and repeating that in a very calm, somewhat sensible manner. That's
And-
not inflammatory. He never yells. He never is up in front of, a crowd banging his hands
Right.
and demanding that, salvation or damnation is coming or people are chasing
Right.
us or, he's very calculated. He's very calm. And that goes a long way at the time.
So that means like she secretly ran the whole thing.
Well,
So that's
Or
very
he's more of like the mouthpiece.
I
I
was going to
believe.
say, well, the problem is the undercurrent for Kerf is that he is desperate for acceptance,
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. That
and
is
she's
what-
giving that to him.
and more. And she's giving him acceptance and purpose. So in
Yeah.
a world where like he was following in his dad's coattails and just you can watch the things. His father was a Presbyterian preacher. Against all his being,
Yeah.
he went to school to do that. he's just trying to have purpose, belong, and feel like he's not an other. And Bonnie is making him feel like he's the one, not other. Like he is it.
Yeah.
It was like, I am the dude. Yeah, girl, you were right.
Which, in a way, and I don't ever, for most of this stuff, anytime I'm talking about them, I'm never putting this in a nefarious tone. I don't think anything that they were doing at this time was in the realm of like, we're doing this control people, or we're better than people, or we're going to get money and be rich and fame. Like, I don't think any of those thoughts came across these two people's heads. I think Bonnie was happy to be validated.
Mm-hmm.
She had someone that listened to her after years of not being listened to. Herf, on the other end, like you said, he was now being seen. Someone was accepting him for who he was. On top of that, they were boosting him up at something he was naturally good at. And anyone that is naturally good at something, that has someone tell them, yo, you're good at that, it makes you feel good. It makes you want to do it more. So,
Sure.
regardless of what she was saying, I think, as crazy as it might have sounded to Herf, he was like, she's telling me this. She's believing in me. When I say it to other people, they believe me. So regardless of what he thinks now, he's created his own echo chamber where like he doesn't have to believe it because everything that's bouncing around on both sides is that.
Yeah. No matter where he turns, it's like, I'm always winning.
And he's going to be
So they're just validating each other constantly.
Yeah.
Correct. Yes, exactly. So
they're both gaslighting each other.
Yep. So again, if the relationship was ever romantic, it doesn't really matter. It was definitely symbiotic, and they definitely fed off each other. And this built the framework for what is later known as Heaven's Gate. I said he never shouted, he never yelled, he never demanded attention, he never demanded anything from anybody. And what made this, I think, even I try to put myself in his shoes in the time, and he's learning from Bonnie, but I don't think he knows what he's learning. So Bonnie starts to call them the two witnesses as the two witnesses in the Bible.
Okay, so that's him and her.
Yep. And then that starts to like kind of change, because that's a common verbiage and people know what that means, and you think of something and you don't think of Bonnie and Herf, right? So she needs to change that. So she starts calling them Bo and Peep because they have sheep and they have a flock to tend to, right?
Yeah.
But it's just changing the terminology, and it's erasing your connection to reality. I think she maybe had a little bit more of a idea of what she was doing when she did that stuff. And it was more in the sense of like, we need to keep this going. We're getting pushback when we say we're the witnesses. Let's think about what we can do to change that. Right. I don't know how much he's involved in like the real thought of like keeping this
like long term of
thing going. They're homeless at this point. They're traveling campgrounds, little parking lots or whatever they can find here and there. They're basically going West Coast tour. They're doing, Arizona, they're doing California, they're in New Mexico. But in 1974, Herf gets arrested.
Oh no, not Herf.
Harlington, Texas, for auto theft and credit card fraud.
Who is this man?
So I think this gets overlooked a lot, and I think this is extremely revealing of Herf's nature, right? So he gets arrested because he's in a member's car, right? So he knows this person. It's not necessarily like I stole a random person's car.
Right.
He's in a member's car.
Okay, so they've already started the cult by now.
No, they're a group. No one calls them a cult for years and years.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Because it's very important to look at the picture of
a
what
member. Okay, yeah.
Right now, because they're loosely organized at this point.
They're just a crew, yeah.
And they're people that have the same philosophy. They're more like a D&D group that gets together every once in a while.
So you just borrowed someone's car, and they're like, okay, yeah.
Exactly. And the credit cards.
But
I think and there's not a lot of exactly how he ended up getting arrested for it or whatever, but my interpretation is that like he felt entitled. Like
Mhm.
these are people that have been giving him charity. They agree with him. They're on the same page as him. He again is in this echo chamber of I can't do wrong. I'm the one. I'm like if these people agree with me, why would of course I'm the one. They would let me use the car. I could use
Yeah.
his money.
I don't
But
gotta ask. I don't have to do anything.
at
I'm the guy.
yep, at this point, people in the group were still connected to the outside world.
Mm.
So I'm sure this came off to people around the person's whose car it was and whose credit card it was as super weird. Hence, he probably got, flagged and arrested. Either
Got it.
way, however it happened, that may be complete conjecture. He gets arrested. He goes to jail for 4 months. He has another like revelation, mental break in jail.
Not surprising.
So
Weird. I just
in
feel like he
jail,
can't deal with stress.
no, he can't. He definitely, it's a good observation because he definitely can't deal with stress. Because under this stress, what he interprets is this is a test. He's being tested, but he's not being tested
In
by
the
like
way he thinks.
God or like, just whatever. He's being tested by the Luciferians.
Ooh.
And now, if you want to use terms that we used before, the Luciferians enter the chat. According to Applewhite, let's get this out of the way real quick. Luciferians are advanced extraterrestrial beings who have infiltrated Earth's governments, religions. They distract humans with sensuality, ego, materialism, and science, masquerading around as gods, angels, or even spiritual teachers. Their true aim is to harvest souls by keeping them bound to the human level and preventing ascension.
Sounds like Scientology.
I was curious to say, wow, he
Much
really
so.
does. They do blend literally everything, don't
You
they?
just throw in an alien named Xenu and some 750,
I
747s, and
mean,
boom, you got it.
Special underwear, we throw in the LVS, we got it all, right? It's everything.
Same,
wow.
but different.
But this, again, these little instances are building bigger stepping stones to the end result that we have here. This is the beginning of full body physical ascension.
Mm.
So now they're way less like theoretical and they're falling into this is what is. This is what's happening. We are here on Earth. We're being trapped by these Luciferians. It's a test. What is going to happen to us is that if we can ascend through this physical body, we will have a metamorphosis like a butterfly. Like we will actually change our physical shape and be space ready. Like we'll change it to a space ready body.
Space
dying.
butterfly.
Yeah, no dying, no like suicide, nothing. Like if you can do all the things you're supposed to do and pass your tests and become equal with the next level of humanity, you will ascend. Like spaceship comes down, you get on, you go up, bye. So again, no one's signing up right now for like suicide cults. No one's talking about killing themselves. None of this stuff is happening. Like we said, they're much more of a group right now, but they're organized and they're pulling these events in these like, again, libraries or I just imagine like random school cafeterias
Little
or like,
pop-up events.
yeah, anywhere that they can get someone that will listen to them. And I have a feeling a lot of it is through people that jived with what they were talking about anyway. Like a guy who worked at, for reference now, like a brewery would be like, oh yeah, we close at 4. You guys can come in. The whole place is open. Just pull up the benches and you guys can talk, right?
Yeah.
He's vibing with it too. Like he's cool. He wants to chat too. So they're doing this thing. They have a New Age event in 1975 in Oregon. It's hosted by a guy named Clarence Klug. I have no other information on him. I just needed to say that name.
Clearance
Yeah, you
Klug.
did.
And at this point, they are going by the UFO 2. So
Sure,
they're
dude.
going around, they're posting these things, they're posting bulletins about come to these talks, come to these lectures. These are not forums for like experiencers. These are people who want to have serious talks about the next
What it
level
is. Yeah.
of humanity, right? So he gives this talk in Oregon and people cry. I guess that's the only way to say it. Like, people are drawn in by him. People are weeping. People say that Applewhite has a stillness about him when he talks. They said, quote, he was like peace in human form.
Oh man, that's a pretty heavy distinction.
And people would say that Bonnie Nettles seemed like she can see into your thoughts.
She's an alien. Duh.
Right? So that night, over 20 people walked away from their lives, their careers, their families, homes, children, anything
Like,
they
oh, I'm
could think
out.
of. And now this group of people were calling themselves the class.
The
This isn't-
class.
But it was very important for Bonnie. Again, she's the one on tape saying most of these type things, is that you were always in class. You were always a student. You were always learning until you are equal to her, which over time you realize almost could never happen.
Okay, here we go. Yeah.
All right. So this is what I need to get this out of the way right now, because from here on out, we get into like real cult territory. Early Heaven's Gate, before haircuts, tracksuits, castration, all that shit.
Just love how you like slid castration into there. Did
Uh,
haircuts and tracksuits.
Yep. Right. I mean, that's what defined them. But before all that, before, like when we were talking earlier, like that Heaven's Gate was very easy to see how it wasn't the desperate, it wasn't lonely people.
Yeah, it was just
educated
everyday people.
that were questioning the everyday around them. They were sick of paying their mortgage. They were going to jobs that they were tired of. They had families, but they didn't feel fulfilled. So these were successful people joining this cult. And at the time, like, I could see myself hanging out in the 70s and like being like, okay, cool. You know what? I hate my job. Like, I just do the same thing every day. These guys got a caravan of people. They're just going to campsites. I'm going to go see what it's about.
Yeah.
Right. And like, that's the problem. Like that right there. Like I could admit that I would get that far. Right. And I would like to say at a certain point, I'd be like, this is crazy.
And then it's 20 years later, and then Lee's still in a cult.
Yeah.
That's what I want to
Yeah.
highlight. Though. That's what I want to highlight about like cults, is that like, that to me is appealing, and to other people, other things may seem appealing. And that's how they always start. They just start with like this little idea that you resonate with, that you think you just found cool people that want to do the same thing as you.
Oh, sweet. Look at all these like-minded individuals.
Yep.
No.
And
Right.
I think Heaven's Gate is an ultimate class in a very subversive type of isolation. Like they're not straightforward with their isolation, and they don't give the negative outside. They don't give the world a negative outside tilt.
Right.
Like they're never like, you won't survive out there. They're gonna hurt you if you go out there. You won't belong. Like that's not their thing. Their thing is very much like, we're here because like we think this is what the next thing is.
All right.
If you're cool with that, hey, come on. Like, we're not hurting anybody by thinking this.
No, we're just hanging out thinking.
Exactly. And at the time, again, they're not
Thinking.
organized. No, they're not organized. So this is not like I'm not watching people change in front of my eyes. You know, every few weeks, if they're in the area again, I'm going to a meeting.
Yeah.
I'm bringing Frank this time, who doesn't know who these people are. That I think is also an important thing too.
Bring a buddy.
When we do things like that, and this is a very like mind hunter psychological type thing, when we're doing something like that, we are now no longer tuned in for ourselves.
No.
Like, you're not going to this second meeting now thinking like, oh, I got to listen to what they're saying. I'm going to make sure this makes sense and it's not weird. You're just picking up on the things you could be like, oh, buddy, yo, you heard that? That's cool, right?
You like that, right?
And then like, now you're at meeting 3 and you didn't even pay attention to meeting 2.
Yeah.
Like, it's these slippery slopes of like, I like this. I want someone else to like it. I'm finding people that like it. And then before you know it, like,
we're all liking it.
And you're all isolated and you're things are
Right.
moving too fast for you to adjust to.
And
And
while you can leave, you don't want to because you've built that community.
exactly, and now you have relationships with these people, and again, it's a very, very, very human thing. Like, I don't ever want to victim blame any of these cult members in any
No.
cult right now, because
Yeah, no.
like the idea of having people that support you, love you, and are saying they agree with you, right, is very comforting. You don't want to turn your back against that.
Mhm.
And then
Yeah, no,
when
you
you're
wanna
turning your
surround
back,
yourself with that.
and the people that do love you on the outside, that's not the warm fuzzies they're giving you.
No.
So it's very easy for a human being to be like, well, that's just difficult. I'm gonna have to explain why I'm here to all those people. I'm gonna have to explain why I did it and who these people. Like, you could just stay with the people you're with, and everything's fine. No one's getting hurt. Like,
Yeah.
you're just
Stay in your
Right.
little comfort zone.
exactly, and the
Well,
comfort zone.
especially for other people that don't have, the best coping skills and things like that. When you, as it goes on, I don't know about at this stage, but being able to give up a lot of like life responsibility
Mhm.
Mhm. Well,
would
I
be a
think
huge draw
I
for,
you're
yeah.
talking about. I think we'll get into this a little bit more in the next episode too. But like, a lot of like the people who are joining are in stressful positions. Like,
Hmm.
there are CEOs, there are people running for political positions, there are brothers of major Hollywood actors, moms of four in the 70s. Like, those are all high stress
Oh,
positions.
fuck yeah.
Right.
I can imagine you get this quiet old gray gentleman saying, "Hey, we just cook in the woods, and every once in a while we do a Bible study, and
Talk about aliens.
we'll tell you we love you, and you look great, and
Right.
all that stuff." And they're like, "Oh shit, you know what? My husband hasn't told me I look great in fucking 9 years,
Yeah.
and
"Oh,
my
I just threw this on this morning. I haven't even tried."
so I just wanted to put that out there right in the beginning of this series, because it is super easy to get caught into a cult. No matter
Hmm.
what anyone thinks, no matter how strong your mind is, all it has to do is be your thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it's got to do.
Yeah.
And with that, sometimes, not all the time, with a little bit of like external pressure or stress, like, you're slippery slope all the way to the bottom.
Mm. Alright,
Uh,
yeah, no, I can see the appeal.
yeah,
Yeah. Now I could have seen myself like joining some sort of like commune, just but
Yeah.
without any like we don't all have to think the same thing.
mhm,
And we don't have to
Like
castrate ourselves, like,
true, you don't have to
yeah.
do that.
mhm.
But yeah, just shared responsibility
Exactly.
and like nice
Yeah.
rolling hills
And
or
that is
something.
where I would be today.
Hobbits.
If someone could guarantee me like just a friendly community and we're just a bunch of common
Right.
living
Yeah.
together, sure,
Yeah,
fine.
like I'd just like to be in like a tiny house
Mhm.
community.
Again, what's funny is that like those tiny house communities are kind of like cults. Like, it's this
Yeah.
little there's little isolated groups of people that, like, even van life, these little
Oh my god,
Yeah.
I
small,
loved living in an RV, it
like
was the best
sub
fucking thing.
are one member taking it too far away from being a cult.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Telling us that we all have to shave our heads and
Yeah,
"Hey, come
man.
on, guys, it's nice.
Yeah. So, to my
see,
point
Josh
about
got it.
I'm here."
to my point about like where you are and like when that pivotal moment in a group changes
Yeah.
into a cult. I pointed it out before. These are scientists, programmers, veterans. These are very what we would
Yeah.
call normal citizens.
Yeah, it's not people on the fringe that a
No,
Yeah.
lot of people
not
like
your
to think
normal.
that
Not
it
a lot of
is.
homeless folk.
Yeah. With battling, yeah,
Yeah.
substance abuse and mental
Mental
health
health.
disorders. Yeah.
Yeah, no, like, wide eye mystic people. This is
Yeah, it's
very
not like
much
Charlie
Right.
Manson getting, like, all the hippies and stuff like that.
exactly, which is, well, again, makes this very interesting that this is the group that they pulled. That's where we'll pick up next episode. We'll get into like who these people are, like what their backgrounds were. Like, we'll kind of try to figure out what would make these people up and leave all these things that we would consider valuable and important to us. And we'll get into that structure system I was talking about, and
Okay.
how this era, this mid to late 70s, really formulates like a rigid rigid. When I say rigid, I mean
I just need you to say it one more time.
rigid.
Thank you.
I mean rigid.
God damn. Preach.
Set of procedures. Like they are telling you how to brush your teeth without an ego. Everything. We'll get into it. I'll break it down way
That's
more.
when I'd be out.
Exactly. It's one of those things, though, I think, where for a lot of these people, it's taking that thought process off the board.
Well,
I
and
don't have to
two,
think about how I want to do it. I'm being told how to do it. That's easy.
Brush.
that's that's true too. But then I think too, once you have, even though you weren't forced to, but once you have separated yourself from your families and cut off that life, how easy is it to just be like, "Hey, I'm back."
You cut that out. You can't go back.
I so
Funny.
that in and of itself can keep
Exactly.
you stuck,
It is
yeah.
hard.
without being coerced.
There is a period where people are allowed, like they go visit, like they just go visit family, and some people stay. Most of them come back.
Huh.
And there is a period, we'll get into all this stuff in like the next few episodes, but there is a period of like,
Oh my gosh, see, they even took from the Amish.
yeah,
They
pretty
took
much.
Rumspringa.
We'll get into it because there's after this, in the next episode, I really talk about like what happens that night of this meeting and when people, like who the people are that are leaving.
Okay.
But that whole exodus creates a huge influx of members, right? So like they gain a bunch of people that night. And that I think really sets off alarm bells for Bonnie and Herf for multiple reasons. One mainly is control. And now they're starting to see that like this loose structure that they're setting up may not be ideal for long-term survival of their little talking tour that they have right now.
Their traveling TED Talk.
Yeah. So we'll definitely break that down in the next episode. The next few episodes, we slowly ramp up the crazy, because right now we're not a cult. We're calling ourselves the classroom. We're calling ourselves students. Right now, it's especially important to point out, Herf and Bonnie are very, very, very much considered the same level as everyone else. They're not doing much of the Messiah, we're above you type talk yet.
Yeah, no, we're just students with you.
They're very much
crazy
here
roller
to
coaster
hold
of Earth.
hands. Yeah, they're here to hold hands and like kumbaya with
Yeah.
you. And again, I think in this next few months to year, you start to see them instill more and more tactics, let's say, to like isolate and control things without outwardly being, oppressive and controlling.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Well, if you're not subscribed yet, I would suggest you subscribe and you follow so you can actually find out when the castration happens, because that's what everyone's waiting for.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Everyone's waiting for it.
That's our selling point.
That's all I've been waiting for this whole time. Damn, when's the castration coming?
You know what? I've done so much research on this goddamn cult, and I didn't run into like cult members talking about that until a couple weeks ago. And like, I have a video. We'll play it when that part comes up, and like, it's disturbing. Let's say.
Love that.
Surely not.
It's he describes it pretty disturbingly. All right. Well, like I said, thank you guys for listening. Make sure you follow and subscribe. We're on YouTube. If you're not watching us, you're listening to us on a podcast platform. Make sure you like it there and leave a comment if you have questions. If you want to join my cult, just ask. Other than that, stay curious, stay strange. Bye.
Stay free.
Stay free.
Thank you for listening. If you would like to join us as a guest, suggest a topic, or have a story you want us to share, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at ssospodcast@gmail.com. For more behind-the-scenes updates and exclusive insights about SSOS, make sure to follow us on social media. And don't miss out on the fun, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Again, thank you for listening to the Secret Society of Strangers podcast. This show is an independent production, researched and crafted by our passionate team. But we couldn't do it without all of you. We truly appreciate your support. Embrace the unknown, for not all secrets are meant to be kept. Farewell, strangers.